San Antonio is not for everyone. And if you're new to the channel or returning, we want to say welcome. Today, we're going to be talking about the top 10 reasons not to move to San Antonio.
Let's check it out. Hey everyone, my name's Alyssa.
And my name's Frank.
And we are the River City Property Team here located in San Antonio, Texas. Now before we get started, feel free to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell because we'll be putting out new videos each week about living in our beautiful city.
Right, and we're licensed real estate agents here in the state of Texas and a husband and wife team. So if you're thinking of relocating to San Antonio, whether that be for work or just looking for a change of scenery, we would love to assist you guys in any way we can and just be a resource of information for you. So feel free to reach out to us with the information on the screen with a phone call, text, or email, and we would love to help. So we like to talk about everything there is to know about San Antonio. So if you guys can get through these next 10 things without them affecting you or changing your mind, at least you'll know you'll be making a good decision.
In no particular order, we're gonna kick this list off with the heat. So it's no surprise that San Antonio can get extremely hot, especially during the summer months. Hottest months are gonna be in July and August. This year, we're actually seeing some really hot temperatures that started out in June. So it may vary and depend on each year, but you can really count on our summers to be really hot.
Right, and although it's the number one thing you think about when moving to San Antonio, it's like the heat, right? It's Texas heat. We have some clients that reach out to us from different states, and one in particular just reached out to us talking about how he wanted to move here to San Antonio specifically, but Texas in general, because of how hot it is, right? Where he lives currently, it snows and he has arthritis, so it hurts to move around, right? All that cold nonstop, you want to change it up. So although it can be a downer for some, it's actually the number one reason why they're moving here.
So besides the heat, another thing that San Antonio is known for is the humidity here, which can make those days seem even hotter. And I know for the ladies out there, I know I experience it, the humidity is not good for your hair.
Yeah, I know, like even when we went to New York, California, and even Boston at times, we would take vacations there. Coming back, you can really understand why it is called the Texas heat. It's just something about it. Now, the next item on the list here is gonna be mosquitoes. Now, mosquitoes can be found in all regions, but San Antonio's mosquito problem can feel the worst during the summer. Now, that's simply because San Antonio is very hot, which calls for the main reason of why we have a bunch of mosquitoes and bugs in general.
Yeah, sure, we have spiders, scorpions, snakes. Those are gonna predominantly be found in new construction areas. Of course, they can be found anywhere, but there's always remedies for that with preventative measures such as pest control, but mosquitoes are just one thing that just seems like it's a huge annoyance.
Right, and if you're looking at new construction here in San Antonio, I know we did 10 years ago, and the one thing that I can definitely agree that we made a good decision on was getting pest control to start it off in the beginning, because it definitely maintains and you create a barrier over the years.
Yeah, in regards to the mosquitoes, you definitely want to make sure that you are carrying your insect repellent, your off, carry it in your purse, your car, everywhere you go, you want to have some with you.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the next item on the list that no one really touches on. It's going to be our hard water. Now here in San Antonio, our water system comes from the Edwards Aquifer, and really what happens is that since it's our groundwater system, it's surrounded by limestone. And what happens is when it rains, it hits the rock, which is the limestone, absorbs all that water, and has minerals like calcium, magnesium that bleed into the San Antonio system, that Edwards Aquifer. And why is that a bad thing? Well, it leads into all of our pipes, into our houses, and creates this type of hard mineral content, right? So of that calcium, magnesium.
And that's where you get the hard water from.
Right, so preventative measures that we can take here in San Antonio is just having ultimately water systems here.
Yes, like Frank said, there are water treatment options available, such as water softeners and filtration systems. We personally have a water softener that runs through our house, so it runs through the piping of the house, so it affects but helps our showers, sinks, everything like that. We also have reverse osmosis for our kitchen sink, and that's pretty much like a filtration system that goes under the sink, and it provides us with filtered water, filtered drinking water.
So we wanted to go over that one because no one really touches about that here in San Antonio, but that's just something to keep in mind if you're thinking about relocating.
Now moving on, we're going to be talking about transportation. Now San Antonio doesn't have as extensive transportation options as other larger cities do, but we do have the Via Metropolitan Transit and other rideshare services as well. And those rideshare services are going to include things like Lyft, Uber, and taxis that we have here. Now with the Via Bus, if you live on the outskirts of San Antonio, that bus system's not going to run that far out. They do run along a certain boundary line here within the city. So if you are within those boundaries, you will have access to that Via Bus system.
Now the Via Bus will touch around the 1604 area, but just not past that. At least not in our experience that we've seen.
Yes, and San Antonio is growing so much, so the infrastructure, everything is growing, and hopefully soon we can grow our transportation options that are available to residents here. Now moving on, we're going to be talking about the high property taxes that San Antonio unfortunately does have. Now, the property taxes are not going to be the same throughout the entire city. Depending on the specific areas that you're wanting to move in or interested in, they are going to be different. So it's definitely important to do your research, just depending on the desired neighborhood you want to live in. Just kind of do your research on the property taxes that are in that area, because that will have an effect on your monthly mortgage.
And we do dive a little bit more into the depth of this in our cost of living video. So we'll attach a tag on the screen above here that will get you to that other video. But we talk about how property taxes are going to differ from either house to house and even neighborhood to neighborhood, depending on your assessed value or if you fought your taxes before in previous years.
Yes, and that's another thing that we touch on is how you can protest your property taxes as well, which is a great thing for us. And next up, we're going to be talking about the home prices here in San Antonio. Now, home prices are going to vary depending on neighborhood here within the city, but just San Antonio in general, you can expect to have a more competitive housing market than other larger cities, especially super expensive states like New York, California, and even locally here in Texas, Austin. So at last check with the San Antonio Board of Realtors, our median home price was $324,000.
Yeah, you can definitely get more bang for your buck here.
Yeah, and I feel like with San Antonio's housing market, we just tend to have a more stable housing market, if you will, than other cities and states may have. The prices are always going to fluctuate, but San Antonio, for the most part, just generally has a stable economy and a housing market, which provides people more of an opportunity for home ownership. And we actually have many clients reaching out to us from different states for that exact reason.
So the next item on the list is going to be the lack of 4 seasons. Now, San Antonio's climate can pretty much be characterized by hot, hotter, and mild winters, really.
Yeah, definitely. So if you are expecting to see a super cold winter, or if you like, snow for Christmas, that's something that you're not going to see here in San Antonio.
So although San Antonio has a lack of 4 seasons, it really is beneficial for those that like to step outdoors and maybe stay outdoors for a lot of activity, right? Even if you like hosting entertainment parties, just know that you can do that and not be having to worry about getting snowed in or not being able to go outside in general. Yes, it does get hot, but a little bit of heat definitely does benefit you every now and then.
Now, the next couple items on the list are going to be something that you definitely want to pay a lot of attention to, especially if you're interested in moving here to San Antonio, in terms of new construction. Now, the first thing we're going to be talking about is new construction being more on the outskirts of San Antonio. Now, don't get me wrong, you may still find some pockets within the city where a developer has claimed some land and has built some things on. I know right now there's a couple areas in the medical center that have some new builds, but predominantly you're going to find them towards the outskirts of the city.
Right, and if you're looking at living more in the inner city of San Antonio, just know that your options for new construction are going to be limited. Those areas are going to contain more established neighborhoods and pre-existing homes. All right, now next up on the list is going to be smaller lot sizes. Now this is definitely something you're going to want to be patient with and take your time making a good decision on what type of home you're going to purchase when it comes to your lot sizes. Right, so for us, we have a new construction home that we purchased 10 years ago, and it was something that we contemplated on. Do we want a pre-owned home, a resale home, or do we want new construction? Because the only downfall to new construction is that they're building them nowadays with smaller backyards and even front yards. It's very minimal compared to the pre-existing homes in more established neighborhoods where HOAs, right, which we talk about that on a different video, but HOA fees are going to be more or less expensive. So with the older homes, we have more backyard, a lot more area for family to be there and for kids to play around in. But just know that with new construction, it's smaller lot sizes.
Now there are some builders that will offer like half an acre or acre lots. It really just depends on the builder. But generally what we tend to see is that with new construction, they are going to be smaller lots. Now this is nothing negative to say on new construction. Like Frank said earlier, we have a new construction home. Well, it was new construction about 10 years ago, but it's just something that you want to keep in mind and consider if a large yard is a priority for you.
And one little note to kind of consider is that with new construction, obviously you're going to have a little bit more yard, a little bit more land, if you will, at corner lots or maybe in even cul-de-sacs, because they kind of V out, especially with the backyards a little bit bigger. But just know that with a larger yard and a larger lot size comes a more higher premium for those areas. So definitely something to consider. Now the next item on this list is going to be not a main reason, but a more uncommon reason to consider when moving to San Antonio is the flash flooding here. Now, do we flood in general? No, but we do flood in specific areas here within San Antonio based on low water crossings or just specific areas in general.
Yes, but when it comes to catastrophic flooding, like unfortunately some cities here in Texas have experienced, San Antonio thankfully has not experienced flooding to that level.
We still have some issues, some residual effects from all that rain. 410 and 35, we've got a couple lanes that are closed here. We've got some flooding on 35 before you get to 410. This is 410 and 35.
Like Frank said, we will get areas that will flood and have low water crossings, but that pretty much is the extent of it here.
Now, although it's an uncommon reason, we definitely wanted to add it in here to our list because we've had clients reach out to us asking about those specific questions. I know they're probably seeing articles on the news and looking up stories, and of course there's high water rescues in those low areas of those low water crossings. But we just want to be honest, give you the good and bad about San Antonio. But I want to remind you guys that we are licensed real estate agents here in the state of Texas and a husband and wife team. So if you're thinking of relocating, we would love to assist you with all of your real estate needs. So feel free to reach out to us with the information on the screen with that phone call, text, or email, and we would love to help. So I hope you enjoyed all this information we have on this video. I hope you have a great weekend and see you on the next video.